Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Welcome everybody to the latest Liverbirds pod. It's April. It's exciting times following this Liverpool team. And myself, Amy, Kate and Randy have reconvened after a very intense game against Man City to talk through and pick through the details of that game amongst a number of other subjects. So we're going to kick right off into it. Randy, let me start with you. I know that you and your brother managed to watch the game. What was your take?
First of all, I have to say it was such hard work. My God, that was I was short into the match, so I couldn't sort of get scared enough before it started. But then suddenly, when it started, I was like absolutely scared to death. And obviously, I mean, 5 minutes in, I was proved right, wasn't I? They looked so strong, and we looked so lethargic. Is that a word you could use? Sort of not at our best at all. Yeah, and I felt that both teams were nervous, and because it meant so much, it was so much at stake, and of course it was. But I felt that we were the worst part, and also I think I commented to my brother a couple of times that this looks like a handball match, and you know how that is played. It's either attack or a defense. So what happened to our midfield? Something was not right there. It was like either away or home. Nothing happening on the middle. So when we scored our goal with Shota, managed to. That was such a lovely moment. And then you knew this is going to be one of those matches. And it was. And as he said, because he's not into any of those teams, so he was like, this is such an entertaining match. And yes, but it was just, for me, mostly hard work.
Yeah, I dare say, because he has no skin in the game, he probably really just enjoyed it as a really, really good football game. Amy,
It must
Kate,
have been lovely to watch, you know.
It must have been to have nothing riding on it.
No.
Amy, Kate, did you enjoy watching it?
Well, I don't know if word enjoy is the right word, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And I watched it with the Carlsbad Liverpool Supporters Club with my group, and we had about 30 of us. I mean, it was very stressful in watching it. Everybody was joking around about if we took our heart medication, or if we hadn't, we better start taking some. It was just very, I don't know. I mean, it was very tight on the chest the whole time. You know, it was thrilling, but we had so much at stake, and I really wanted us to win, but I knew it was going to be a tough game, and they played how we expected, and I think that we just weren't as good as we should have been, and I agree with Randy. The midfield just didn't seem like it was either attack or defense. It just didn't really seem like the midfield was really there. But yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is. There's still hope. We didn't lose. That's what's really important. We have goal differential, which is great. If they, as long as we keep winning and they get a draw, we're good. So there is still hope, but we like to do things the hard way. That's the Liverpool way.
We like to do things the hard way. On the point about the midfield, Randy, do you think that playing Citeh instead of well, I would pick probably Henderson, although I didn't think Fabinho had a great game. But I would have loved to have seen Fabinho, Thiago, and Citeh in the midfield against City. Do you think that would have made any difference?
Yeah, well, I thought that last match we played so well with Fab, Keita, and Thiago, and I was really looking forward to that. But I knew that Klopp trusts Hendo in these matches. But I think first half, even Hendo, he probably had one brilliant pass. That was just typical of him. But I didn't feel that he could contribute defensively as well as he usually does. So I felt that when in the second half, of course, then Fabinho played well as well. He was not good in the first half either. So then it was like not all three of them did work. But in the second, when Keita came on and Fabinho started to work, he was really on his foot in the second half, and he got a yellow and he was, into it. Then when Keita came on, you could see, this is how it should be in a way. I felt that it was a good move, but maybe I should have been doing that earlier. So I missed both Diaz and Keita in this match, to be honest.
Although you have to say that both Jota and Mane did score.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, when Jota is on the pitch, he scores. So in this match, actually, what I wanted to see was Mane, Diaz, and Jota to see what would happen then, because I think all three of them were better than Salah in this match. Maybe he needs a rest.
Interesting. I mean, Amy Kate, it was Salah's pass. It was Salah's assist to Mane for the equaliser at the start of the second half. Lovely weighted ball. Would you agree with Randy? Would you have rested Salah or had Salah on the bench as opposed to starting in the front three today?
You know what? I don't think, no matter what's going on, I don't think I'd ever put Salah on the bench in a game like this. And I know I'm being kind of biased. No, I am being biased, not kind of. I'm being biased because he's Salah. No other reason. He makes the most goals. He's got, he's I think it's 28 now. I might have that wrong, but it's just, I'm willing to take that gamble with him being starting than over someone else, to be honest. But there's been a lot of talk that, and I might have had this a little bit off of what I read that Aldo put, but he was kind of calling him out. He was kind of saying that he's not on his game. He's not, playing as well as he should be. He's been, he hasn't scored in the last, I think, 6 matches, they said. I don't know if that's 100% true, but because I didn't have a chance to check the statistics of that. But I don't know. I mean, I'd still put him in. I would take that gamble. I have that much faith in him. And I did also kind of see, I think his heart's in it, even though maybe he's not been as consistent. I still think his heart's in it.
I think that, what he's done over the last 5 seasons is frankly nothing short of miraculous. I worry, I think that, particularly over the last few weeks, losing the Africa Cup of Nations, the Senegal being knocked out of the World Cup by Senegal, carrying all that weight on his shoulders about, the one genuine world-class player that Egypt has. I worry about how he carries that weight on his shoulders, and I don't know whether any of you picked up apparently one of his post-game interviews in Egypt or with the Arabic Channel, whatever it was, there was an indication he might be thinking about international retirement. I mean, I don't know if that was like a correct translation, and if that's actually true. But I do wonder whether that's also, he's been thinking about that as well. There's a lot of rumours about the contract discussions and one thing and another. But we've got so much going on as a club at the moment in terms of, it's a game every 3 days. And like you say, at this point, we are still in all 4 competitions. So, to my mind, I think the rotation is the key. But he is a big game player, is what I would say. And, he does have that ability to just produce a piece of magic. So I think on balance, I probably lean a bit more with you, Amy Kate, on the fact that I think he's earned the right to start games such as this. But, nobody has a divine right. And at some point, you have to look at his overall contribution. But he's still providing assists. He's still, a menace on the pitch for other teams. And a lot of them will double up on him defensively, which will create space for somebody else. So I do think, he is a magnificent player, and maybe for his very high standards, he's having a slight dip in form. But I would argue his dip in form still makes him probably better than most other players out there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not like trying to say that he's at his best, because we know he's not. But like you said, even his best even his not best is still better than a lot of players out there.
Yeah, I mean, Randy, what we do know is with this draw is it's not in our hands now. Had we won, obviously, we would be 2 points ahead of City, and then, if we kept on winning, there was nothing that they would be able to do about it. Whereas, we're in the opposite position now. Whereas if they keep winning, there is nothing we can do about it. Was there anything else you would have wanted us to do? We talked about Salah, talked about the midfield. How do you think this impacts, if in any way, how we view the remaining league games?
I think actually the way we've been playing up till now in the league means that it quite suits us to be from behind and just having to win. It looks like, whilst I don't know how we would behave if we had to defend something now. So maybe this suits us well, but I was sort of hoping for a miracle, because as the match went along, I could see that City should have been winning. They had like 4 balls in the post or whatever. So they should have been winning this. So I was hoping for a miracle, just so that we could be in the other end this season for the first time, to be in the defending end. But I'm not sure that suits us. So maybe this is quite fine. I think we should be happy about this and just continue grabbing points as we have been doing, because we have seemed to sort of get through that. Whilst we don't know what would happen if we had to defend something. So maybe this is okay. And at least then we're still in lots of other competitions. Although I must admit, I really don't look forward to the FA Cup against City. So maybe to go for the Champions League, and really, because we've been playing with, our shoulders relaxed and been really looking good in the Champions League. So let's just continue that at least to get some mojo back, because I think today as well, our defense looked like we do as we normally do. We try to keep our line and then we trick all other teams. But City had sussed us out. they were running him behind all the time. So I think we have to get out there and play Benfica again just to get back to business.
Well, you say that, but you know, if they turn in behind and then they're caught offside.
Yeah, but they were not. They were tricking us, and the Foden goal, it was like perfect tricking our trick defense.
Yeah, but the Sterling goal, we worked. So, call it tight, but
very tight.
We held the offside line, and it went to VAR and he was offside. I'm not saying I necessarily want it to be that close.
No.
But it served us pretty well. Yes, there is risk. There's high risk and high reward the way that we defend. I don't believe, I may be proved very wrong, I don't believe at this stage of the season Klopp is going to stop us playing that defensive high line. I think they just need to make sure they're incredibly disciplined when they do it.
You just have to have eyes in your back whilst doing it,
Yeah, absolutely. But seeing as you've brought up the Champions League, Randy, so we obviously played Benfica during the week, beat 3-1, which I thought was a cracking result away from home. Amy Kate, what was your take about our performance against Benfica, and actually, as important, Benfica's performance against us?
Well, I just thought we played really well. I thought that there was a lot of control. I felt that we just had the game from start to finish, and we seemed at ease, and it was a joy to watch, to be honest. Now, I had to watch it with no sound because it was in Spanish, and I can't do it. I don't understand Spanish, so that was a little challenging, and because I do kind of like to hear what the commentators, not necessarily that I agree with them, but I kind of like to hear what they have to say. But I felt that they did a great job, and I was really pleased to see us come out, the way we did and play, really well throughout the whole match.
Yeah, I did you not think we were a bit sloppy the sort of first 15 minutes of the second half, particularly when they pulled a goal back?
Actually, yeah, you're right. I agree with that. I do kind of think that we weren't we didn't come back out like usually we come back out fighting, ready to go, but we didn't seem like we were ready. It was almost like the game had started without us. But then, then they just started back to the way they were and just kept going, and we ended up winning 3-1, which was great. Or actually 1-3. I have it right.
It was the thing that obviously it brought, that the goal that they pulled back obviously brought the crowd back into it, made it really, a really sort of vibrant atmosphere again, because, those two goals in the first half, we pretty much killed the atmosphere off. But, they could have scored first before we got that first goal. They were arguing for a penalty. And we went down the other end and scored. And a game can change in a heartbeat. And so I think that was my only thing, that sort of sloppy kind of 15 minutes or so at the start of the second half. Randy, what did you think of our boy Ibu against Benfica? He kind of was hero and villain. Both, wasn't he, in that game?
Absolutely, he was in both ends, literally. His goal was absolutely beautiful, and their defense must have been sleeping hard at that time. But at the same time, he could find space, and being as tall and big and strong as he is, he can just fight that space as well, I guess. So it was brilliant goal, and I thought overall that match he was very good. But of course he had that one little
just lost.
Oh,
just judged it.
Yeah, and then Nunes showed why he is a very dangerous and a very good player. So he just used that. But if you look at the match overall, I think we should have won with 5 goals because we are not as clinical anymore. We don't seem to. Salah didn't get goals, and Mane probably should have had 2, and Diaz could have had another one, and but we managed, and 3-1 is a good result. So I felt that, as you said, we were not at our best, but we did a very, very good job, and the atmosphere there was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it's magic.
Although what I heard from my friends who did go to the game was that the Portuguese police in Lisbon were, didn't treat them very well. They were, practically kettled to go into the stadium, and there didn't appear to be any reason for them to behave that way. There'd been no issues in the town. There'd been no issues in the day. The Benfica and Liverpool fans were mixing together. They were singing. It was all very good natured. And then the minute they approached the ground, it felt like it became a very, very kind of aggressive, confrontational approach by the police in Lisbon. And I don't really get it. It feels very old-fashioned form of thing. I mean, happily, I don't think anybody was hurt or anything like that, but certainly the what they were telling me didn't sound like it was a great experience getting into the ground.
No, it's so sad. And I heard somebody with kids as well said, I don't want to take my kids if it's going to be like this.
Yeah,
it's it's not a great advert for the game, really, because again, just treating football fans as though they're the lowest of the low, rather than treating them like human beings.
And without any reason. I mean, let's face it, Liverpool fans hasn't been bad in Europe at all, have they? I have no rumour of that.
Not since Heysel, basically.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
But that, I mean, not to like, ignore that, but that was so long ago, and we've learned from that, and it's evolved and it's changed. I mean, we can't change the history, and it is what it is, but that's not the same band. Things have changed.
You would hope that the police, you would think they're used to police in big games, particularly you've got, Benfica plays Sporting or something. Maybe this is how they treat the supporters when they have the derbies in Lisbon. I don't know. But it just seemed a bit of a shame and a bit overzealous in terms of what was actually needed. But hey ho. So clearly we've got the return leg. Would you play the same team, Amy Kate? Would you make any changes to the team we put out against Benfica?
Trying to think of what the lineup is actually. I don't think I really would, but I have to look at the lineup again.
We had obviously Alisson in goal.
Right.
Citeh came in for Matip, but it was pretty much your standard back four. He had Fabinho, Keita, and Thiago in midfield, and then you had this is going to test my memory. I think it was
Diaz,
Mane, Salah, and did Diaz start or did he come on?
Yeah.
He started.
Okay.
Yeah.
He started. So that's your team.
The only thing I may switch would be possibly, I'm not the biggest fan of Citeh. I think that he's done a lot better this season, but he's been injured a lot, and I don't feel like he's always up to the task. He worries me at times. And then the other thing between Jota and Diaz,
those are the only two, but they're interchangeable for me. I think I'm so excited to see Diaz when he came on and when they switched. When I saw that Jota was coming off, I was like, oh, and then I saw who it was that was coming on for him. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I wouldn't mind if those two interchanged with each other like that. I think both of them are equally just as good players, and I wouldn't be bothered either way. So I'm not really, as long as one of them is playing and then they're all, you can sub in. I'm good. I have faith in our team. I mean, it's so great that we have such a deep bench now. Which we hadn't in the past. So
it's is.
And maybe we do give some other players, depending on the second half or whatever, but we could give some other players some time if we stay the way we are. Like I wouldn't mind seeing Origi play again, give him some minutes, but it also depends. We don't want to give it away either. We have a 2-goal lead, we want to keep that. So
so what you're saying is if we're 2-0 up at home with 70 minutes, you let Divock come on.
Oh, absolutely.
Tacky.
Yeah, or tacky. Give them.
Yeah, I do feel for them. I do think in most other teams they would be playing pretty regularly. And a bit, sort of them, Oxlade-Chamberlain, players like that. It's just, it's Klopp has been involved in the team, and ultimately it may be that 1, 2, or some of those go at the end of the season, which will be a shame. But I completely understand it if they want to be able to play regularly, and it's not something that looks like it's going to happen here anytime soon.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me is when we still ended up, I think third in the league, but I mean at one point it was like, do we have any players left because of all the injuries? Yeah. And so it worries me that if we do not have those players, now what? So it bothers me that some of these players that don't play week in, week out, that want to go, understandably, that we could lose because they are still vital to the team.
And this is just my opinion. I think that Origi may well go at the end of the season, and he will go with legendary status. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it to, we'll talk about the Man U and Everton games. So I wouldn't put it past him to come on and score in either of those, frankly. But,
right?
Yeah, I think we do have the depth, and we talked about it on the last pod. Now you look at our bench, it's so much different than when it was 2 years ago. So we need to keep that. It's just the makeup of the players on it may change a bit. But I trust Klopp enough to know that, or to believe that, if he lets players go, he believes he's either got players in the team that can step up, or will bring you, at least as good replacements. But it's not as easy as it seems to find people who are good enough to be able to slot in, but also are willing to sit on the bench. I won't say happy, but willing to sit on the bench. I think that's a difficult mix to find. Seeing as we are, we've obviously got the Benfica game, but as I said at the beginning, we're playing kind of every 2 or 3 days, and of course after Benfica, we then reconvene with Man City. So what did we learn today from the game that we would want to change for the FA Cup semi-final? Randi, let me start with you on that.
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? We learned that I think our midfield has to work better with our defense because they are very quick. And I felt that Matip and sometimes Virgil didn't they had to run after people coming through our defense. So I think we have to do something there. And also that going forward, I felt that the couple of times when we were doing a counter-attacks, we were better than when we were trying to play against their defend line deep. So just play our game really, but be extra alert in defense, I would say. And I think maybe I would put Konate in there because of his speed and strength, and rest Matip for that one. Yeah, it's now going forward. It's so many matches, so it's difficult to know when to do what. But I think going back to trying to rest Matip every other match might be a good idea. He looked a bit slow today, but of course he didn't do as much going forward as he normally does. So then we might as well play Konate, I think.
Yeah, was that? Do you think that was because of the way that Man City set up?
Yeah, because he needed to be alert. He knows he can't run back
forward.
Because if he goes forward, who's left back there then? He was very busy trying to be there, but at the same time not really managing all the time. So maybe then play Konate instead, and then leave Matip for another game where he can do what he normally does, which is brilliant going forward.
I mean, maybe Kate, you talked about looking at Jota and Diaz as being not interchangeable, but being absolutely great replacements for each other. Would you for example start Diaz for the FA Cup semi-final rather than Jota, or would you change that front three completely? Would you, say completely, but you know what I mean? Would you?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
would you move it around?
I would. I don't know. I mean, either I can't. I'm on the fence, to be honest, because either way, I could see it working, and the other one coming in for one coming in for the other one at some point. I don't know if I really care one way or the other. I almost kind of think, and maybe I'm wrong here. I almost kind of think I want to see Diaz start because Jota's really good at coming in and making changes and really, livening it up and fresh legs. And I almost think it would be better in that scenario. But if it doesn't go that way, I wouldn't be mad. I think that we really need to be less, we need to really, our back line and our midfield is not as strong as it can be. I think they know how to play us, and that's where we get caught out. I mean, there was quite a few times today that they broke through the defense, and you're looking at it like, oh, thank God the ball went either over or we were able to get back in time. But there was a few times I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to score on us again. It could have been worse. The offsides goal, glad it was offsides, but that what if it wasn't? We would have ended up losing. So I think we really need to work on our defense and midfield. I think that's where we really need to hold the line.
Okay. My view on Diaz is I would actually start him in the FA Cup semi-final. And it's for two reasons really. So one is I thought he was magnificent when we played Chelsea at Wembley in the League Cup final. And he didn't even know the team that well at that point. The second thing is Man City haven't really played against him. He's maybe, I know, he got 20 minutes or whatever today, but they haven't really been exposed to him for a game, and he's a bit of an unknown quantity to them, I think.
Good point. Good point.
That's part of the reason why I think it would be a good move for him to be in the front three when we get to Wembley, because to your point, if we play the way we played today, particularly in the first half, we will lose.
Yeah.
I think Diaz will. I think Diaz will give us something a little bit different. In terms of playing the high line, the offside, I don't believe we're going to stop that. So we just need to make sure we're absolutely on point for that. But it is going to be interesting to see what changes, if any, Klopp makes in having looked back and analysed how we played this game, because it did feel like we started quite nervously, which surprised me. I would have expected us to be more on the front foot, and that's what I would want to see when we get to Wembley. I want us to start off on the right tempo on the front foot. That will, I think, take us quite a long way. But yeah, so we will see. So we've talked quite a lot about the men's football team, and now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to spend some time talking about LFC ladies, who are the championship champions. I don't know if I'm using the title right even. So let us talk about LFC ladies. Amy Kate, I'm going to start with you because you've been championing the team for quite a while, and we started talking about them over the last couple of years, but they're really coming back to prominence now. So what would you like to say about the Liverpool ladies' performance this season?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. They've just been such a joy to watch when you were able to watch them, of course. And that's going to change next season because of, moving. Not only did they win their league, the championship, they're moving up to the WSL, and it's so cool to see they're now, top flight again, and they're going to have more exposure and, so much more support. And it's been so cool to just see how well they've done and the confidence that the girls have had, and just, got to give credit to Matt Beard. He came back and really brought this team back to life. It's been so cool. And the other really neat thing was the game that they played last Sunday was they had over 5,000 people there. I can't remember the exact number. I think it was like 5,500. And that was a championship record. So they, I get it. It's only 5,000, but when you're only getting a couple of thousand, I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's only going to get better. And it's showing how, fans are really getting behind the women, not just Liverpool fans, but with the women's game. And so I'm really excited to see where this goes, because it's definitely a positive thing to see that the women are, getting the support and playing really well. So I mean, when they go back up, I mean, they've got a tough challenge, because there's teams out there that are just phenomenal. City and Arsenal and Chelsea. I think Chelsea's number one, right? Chelsea and Arsenal are like 1 and 2, I think. I mean, they're strong teams, so we're gonna have some competition. it's definitely a whole other level. But I think we can do it. And as we continue to grow and continue to get the right players and have, that support, and the management's phenomenal. So I'm really, really excited to see where we go. And I'm so happy to see them, that they they're back up where they belong. So yay.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. It was brilliant to see, and also the fact of that they went to Bristol and they beat Bristol 4-2 in their own ground, which was which sealed the championship. That's the way to do it. I wish the men had been able to go to the Etihad and win 4-2, but you can't have everything. But I also I love the fact that Jurgen Klopp made a point of congratulating them, and sort of said he's been talking to some of the female players. He's obviously done some work with them around the LBGT stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying seeing some more kind of formal links and stuff being started to be done between the various different teams. And Trent, I don't know if you saw it, Randy.
Yeah. Trent did a video.
Giving congratulations to the women's team, and Randy. I know that it's not as popular yet, but I think would you agree that the more successful the women are, the only that's only a positive thing, both in terms of growing the game, but also around the getting, and I don't mean that they lost the credibility back, but getting the credibility that Liverpool are looking after them in the right way now, that they're getting more proper attention from the club and the support that they should be getting.
Yeah,
it is. It's a brilliant thing to see them back in the WSL next season. And yes, I agree with you, Amy Kay. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Chelsea and Arsenal are sort of seasoned playing in the Women's Champions League. You've obviously got the Continental Cup and the various other things. So Liverpool are going to have to learn and learn quickly. But fingers crossed, Matt's obviously got a bit of a magic touch with our women's team. So long may it continue. So yeah, we look forward to see who stays with us, who they bring in for next season, and the fact that they did it with 2 games to spare is should not be forgotten either. So they could really enjoy their last couple of games, be a bit of a just a celebration of the season that they've had.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see a couple other things that the club have been doing. They are looking for, and I don't know when it's going to be announced, but they're actively looking for a training facility for the women, which is huge, because I was really upset that the women weren't even considered, or it appears to be. I should be fair because I don't know. But the women aren't at the Ajax, so or AXA. Sorry, I don't know why I said Ajax. AXA training facility. There's no place for them there for whatever reason. I'm trying to be partial. Not or just not try to make this. I'm partial. Sorry, I'm not trying to make this like beat on Liverpool, because it really did upset me when I felt like they just didn't care, or it appeared to be that way. But it looks like they're trying to do things. They're definitely behind the scenes doing things that I think a lot of us don't know. So it's not as.
Can I just ask something?
Yeah.
Because it's something I don't understand. Because I thought if we have a women's LFC team, that should be a part of the whole LFC setup. But it looks like from outside now, it looks like it's 2 completely different, separate stuff going on. That confuses me a lot. I don't understand it. Is it what is it like? Why?
That's how it appears to me as well. And I've asked those questions. And I think it's probably more, it looks like that more than it really is, but it still really is. We're supposed to be one club, one vision. We're supposed to be Liverpool Football Club, everything that encompasses the men, the women, the academy, everything. But it doesn't appear to be that way. And Liverpool act for that, and rightfully so. And I've been one of those people that have definitely questioned it. But there is a women's focus group about them. I was asked to be a part of that, and very proudly part of that. So I got to find out that there was things that it's not out in the public, because that was one of the things that I actually raised. What about us, kind of thing. So they have visions, and not necessarily that they're in line with what I believe, but it's definitely more than I thought was happening. And they are trying to do more things, and they are aware that, the men bring in more money, but they're listening, and they're wanting to hear what we have to say, which is half the battle. Now, will they do anything about it? I don't know, but they're at least making that effort to try and see what's needed. One of the things that I want to point out that I think most people don't know is that, the attendance, right? Like, it was the biggest attendance at Bristol City and that they've had all season, and it's a record. But there's a few things that people don't know, that if you want to go watch the women, and it's not, at the same time, because we've had a few games this season that they were at the same time, so I get it. But the club this year has been putting on free coaches, so you can go to Anfield and get on the coach and go watch the game at Prenton Park. And they've done some away ones down into London as well, which was never something that they did before. So that's a huge thing that they've really done. They're making it more accessible for the fans. The other really great thing that I don't think people know, it's not very expensive. It's like £5 or £6 for a ticket. So it's not a lot of money. But if you have a season ticket, you can go for free. That's part of your season ticket that they recognize. And that's the thing that people need to know. This is something that you can do. So go support the women. It doesn't even cost you anything, especially when they're at Prenton Park. And they're getting such a great support. There's it's been now, they're going on their second season, or second year into it, but they've started a women's supporters group that's been, I think a huge part of this, because they've been advocating, not just individual fans, this particular group, and they've gotten a great following, and the fans are building, and the club's embracing that. And the other really cool thing that I think a lot of people don't know about the women is, if you follow them on social media, a lot of times they might follow you back, or they'll actually reply back to your messages, and they interact with you more than the men would. It's you get really excited when you actually get a like or a comment from one of the first team men's players, because that's a rarity. I get it, they've got so many more people following, but the women actually do, and they actually take the time to interact with their fans, which you don't get with the first team as much. So that's something to think about, is how they do those kind of things, and it's such a good good thing to see, and they want to, they love having the fan support, and I think it's made a huge difference. So
that's good to hear.
They're part of our team too.
They are indeed. And it's brilliant what they've done this season. Many congratulations to them.
Yeah,
and we'll look forward to following them next season, and let's hope the men can potentially emulate them. So on that note, and we've got a couple more things to cover before we draw this to a close. So following next home leg against Benfica and the FA Cup semi-final against Citeh, we just have the small matter of Man United at home, followed by Everton. Randy, and I'll give you Man U, and then Amy Kate can have Everton. So, what do we think?
Thanks a lot for getting Man U. I mean, thanks a million, because they're brilliant, aren't they? I was watching the Everton match yesterday and I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, I haven't seen as destructive and boring football in years. And talking about our defence, Man United's defence is the biggest shamble ever. And that fridge, that is the most expensive one ever moved about. He can hardly move. And he actually made the one goal that Everton needed. So what a match. So, I mean, looking forward to playing them, I must say, although I know that they're going to raise their game when they meet us. But they were really, really bad yesterday. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And that really grumpy, stupid number 7 they got. Did you get that? He smashed a child's phone afterwards going into the off the pitch because he was so in such a bad mood. Oh dear. Yeah, I can't wait for that match.
I saw something on social media, but to be honest, I didn't even really bother looking at it because I was just like, I don't give a shit about Cristiano Ronaldo. So there was a load of, nonsense, and I was out yesterday as well. So to be honest, I hadn't really followed it. I know there was something mentioned on Match of the Day. I got back in time to actually I missed the Everton Man U game when I turned it on. And I can't remember what the next game was, but I sort of watched it with half an eye. So I didn't know what all the nonsense was about that. But yeah, I think so. It's weird, and let's hope this doesn't come back to bite us. I'm genuinely not that concerned about Man United. They just I don't know. What appears clear to me is that they don't seem to know what they're doing. As in, I don't think they're clear about what shape they're playing. I don't think they're clear about how they're supposed to be playing, the formation. They feel like a very strange outfit at the moment with not a lot of direction. And you kind of get that because everybody knew this manager was only coming in for 6 months and then would, go upstairs and then somebody else would come in, which always seemed like a very bizarre thing to me anyway, but hey ho.
Yeah.
So I will sort of say, temper this by saying, of course you would expect Man U to raise their game, and of course I expect a hard game, but if they continue to play the way they have been playing, we should have enough to beat them. The one I guess I'm slightly more interested in is the Everton game, Amy Kate, because frankly they're yard dogs. And if there was if of the two that I'm more concerned about, it is the Everton game, only because I think they would potentially go out of their way again to try and hurt our players.
Yeah, I mean, we could look back or think back to some of the times we played them, and they've been nasty, and I think I agree with you actually. Actually, I know I agree with you that that's the one I'm worried about, because Everton, no matter how they're playing or where they are in the table, it's a totally different thing when it's a derby. When Liverpool play Everton, it's just a whole other thing, and they find their heart. So I'm worried about that. But we are at home, which is also important. But they have so much to lose. I mean, they are one spot off from being relegated, and I don't know how I feel about that. Part of me wants to laugh, but if I'm being honest, I really don't want to see that, because there's only 6 teams left that have not been relegated since the Premier League started, and they're one of them. And it just we wouldn't have the derby anymore. The dynamics of football in Liverpool would change. And I think that that's one of those things that's so important. And the banter back and forth between Liverpool and Everton is so brilliant that I'd hate to see.
Just think how much more brilliant it would be if they were in the Championship.
Well, we would have a good laugh, but the reality of it, like once the reality sets, it's a whole other thing. So
yeah, I was having a conversation with my brother, who's a Chelsea fan, and he was saying, "Oh, you don't want Everton to go down, do you?" And I said to him, as far as I was concerned, it couldn't happen to a nicer team. I'd be delighted if they got relegated. And frankly, maybe a season or so in the Championship would do them some good. Help them work out what the hell it is they think they actually want to be as a football. And I get people sort of saying, "Oh, you'll lose the Merseyside derby." I don't think it would do us any harm for a season or so to not have that. Are you saying we'd kind of miss getting at least 4 points a season off them? That's a slightly different thing. But it's become a very bitter, unpleasant kind of environment. Certainly since the last time I went, and I'm not sure that I would miss it if we didn't have it for a couple of seasons. I think it would be refreshing, and I think as and when they came back, if they did get relegated, actually it would give it a new impetus for the derby.
Yeah, I don't mind either or.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I guess.
I mean, I have to say, I think this weekend's results have put them in a much stronger position. You know, them beating United, Burnley losing to whoever they lost to, I can't remember, but another relegation threat team.
The Leeds was winning.
Leeds won, Brentford won, Newcastle won, but obviously Watford lost, Burnley lost, and Norwich won. So they've been closing the gap, and there's now 4 points between Everton and Burnley. So
but Everton has to play Chelsea and us.
They do. They do.
Do they still have a game in hand as well? Don't they still have a game in hand as well?
Do they?
I think I don't know. I honestly
remember. I'm a little behind everybody else right now. I'm not really paying attention to them. I'm only
exactly. I think they might have played 30 games, and I think we've played 31, but maybe played 31 as well. But yeah, I'm just trying to have a quick look as I'm talking to you. But yeah, it's really. I think that it will end up that there are 3 worse teams than them. At the end of the season. So Everton have played 30 games, as have Burnley, and Everton are on 28 points, and Burnley are on 24, and they've got exactly the same goal difference. And then the next team is Leeds on 33 points, but they've played 2 games more than Everton. So if Everton won both of those games, they would conceivably overtake Leeds.
Okay.
Oh, well.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, sort of.
They won't be winning at Anfield, knock on wood.
No, hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not, particularly with that fat ass Frank.
I don't
Yeah.
I can't bear the man. Anyway, but we have basically, I don't think we have a single game that loses any intensity between now and the end of the season. And you know, in the next 10 days, we will know whether we're in the semi-finals of the Champions League, whether we're in the final of the FA Cup, whether we are still on the heels of Man City or possibly ahead of them, depending whoever they play next. It's going to be a magnificent few weeks, nerve jangling. But,
yes.
You know, this is what we want. We want every game to mean something.
Yeah.
So can't argue with that. So we're coming to the end of this pod. So let me do a quick whiz round for any other business. Amy, Kate, let me start with you.
I think I already kind of went there. I'm really excited about the women and our chances of, like, we've got so much to play for. So just sending positive thoughts out to our teams.
Brilliant. Randi.
We must say hello and welcome to this young man called Carvalho. We signed him from Fulham just this week. And it's really nice. What a prospect he is. So look at our midfield or our front end going forward now with him and Elliot and all the, you know, excitement and Diaz and everything. I'm very excited for the future. It looks so good. Really, really nice.
Yeah, I can only echo that. And the last thing I think I would say is whisper it quietly. But there is a possibility that Jurgen Klopp might say.
Oh,
that would be.
You mean forever?
I can't promise you forever, Randi.
I love that.
We'll forever be in our hearts, though.
Yes.
But it sounds like he's willing to consider the possibility of extending his contract. And to my mind, that's brilliant news. So let's think positive thoughts on that as well.
Indeed.
Yes.
Oh, and last but not least, have you seen the new Jurgen Klopp song that's going round?
Yes.
To the tune of the Beatles.
Rock,
you know,
something? What was that?
You know, it goes, I'm in love with her and I feel fine. So they take that Beatles song and a new set of lyrics for Jurgen Klopp. I will try and find it on social media and send it round to you. But have a little look out for it. It's good fun.
Oh, brilliant.
So, I think we're going to call it a night there. Thank you very much for this sort of hot off the press pod, taking into account the Man City game. Plenty of other subjects covered. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this pod. We will be back fairly shortly because there's an awful lot going on. In the meanwhile, enjoy the remaining games coming up on the seasons and up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.